Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Vasil Gazizulin. I'm happy to launch this first global franchise conference. It's a global event that we start today. And I really appreciate that you participate in us and you join us these hard days. And you are all busy and you are all from all over the world. And let me say a few words why we organizing this conference, why we doing this, and personally about me and about our team, the organizers and the speakers of the conference. First of all, I really appreciate all of you who can see us. I will run this conference today. These 2 hours, it will be completely useful information for you. And please allow me to introduce myself and all of the speakers. Thank you. My name is Vasil Gazizulin. I'm the founder of the Topfranchise.com, the global franchise marketplace. And we organizing this event online because we realize that all offline events globally all over the world is still closed. So we need to join and we need to unite together to exchange the information, what we have about the franchise market and about how we can run our franchise concepts, how to buy franchise and how to sell a lot of franchise. The most useful information for you for this conference is the exact tools which you can use to sell your franchise. And I really welcome and appreciate investors who join this conference. You can see which kind of markets, which franchise is really good for this period, really good for this time to be on the market in this COVID reality that we have right now. So what we do this during this conference, we will talk about few markets. This conference is dedicated to the geographic spread of the franchise industry. We will talk and see how the situation is in specific markets such as Asia, and right after me and Yuri and Herman will be the Albert Kong, and right after that it will be we will see the Felix de Wit, and after that the Alex Depase. All these guys you see in our informations in our newsletter. So let me say a few words about all of them. And during my presentation of the speakers, please type on the comments of our translation, which country are you from, which company are you representing, and which kind of franchise do you have. You can promote your franchise in our conference. Please type to the comments to our translation and my colleagues will bring this information and your questions and your comments to all the speakers in our platform that we use. Thank you very much in advance. Please type your name, type your country, and type your company name, your franchise that you have. This is in exchange information. It's very important for us. For me, it's a very big honor to represent this global franchise conference and unite all the great speakers together. We have incredible experience that we have these days. And first of all, right after me, I will give a word to the Yuri Mikhailichenko. It's an international expert in the area. It's close to the 300 million people speaking in Russian. And there is a former USSR and a Russian leader of the Russian franchise association. So you can see how it's developed in the emerging markets, yes, such as Russia, such as Belarus, such as Kazakhstan, and what kind of benefits you can have to develop your franchise in such countries. Right after that, I will give a word to the Mr. Herman Reisen. He is from Germany and he's representing the fastest growing the franchise industry in the logistic area. It's a SDEC company. And guys, please type to the our chat your contact details. We will give it to the comments to the audience in our video translation. So what we have right after that, Mr. Albert Kong is dedicated and the honored leader of the franchise industry in Singapore, in the center of the Southeast Asia, will tell you about how the franchise industry is now surviving and developing in the Asia, in China area, in Indonesia, and exactly in Singapore. So Albert Kontek is already with us. He will also see your comments, and I'm asking you again, to people who just join us right now, type to the comments your name, your country, and your franchise industry with all contact details. We welcome that you can promote your franchise during this conference. This is a unique opportunity for you. Thank you very much. Right after that, Felix de Wit is an experienced expert from the Netherlands, from the center of Europe, will tell you the reality of the European market of the franchising. Europe, it's one of the biggest economy in the world. You should develop your business in Europe for sure. And Felix will tell you what means the master franchising there in Europe and his vision about the franchising market in European countries, yes, that we have now. And right after Felix, it will be the speaker from the United States. It's Alex Depase. It's our friend and one of the best experts in the franchise industry. Also, he has experience in developing his own franchise network, and now he's doing the business how to bring companies to the US market. And we really appreciate that Alex can tell what is really happening now in the American market after the elections and how it's impact to the franchise industry. Thank you very much for listening to us. We are all united on that platform, Global Franchise Conference. All this conference will be recorded by the video, and you can see the records. And right now, you can ask every questions right to the speakers. This is a unique opportunity to direct call to every one of us, and you can tell your opinion and ask your question directly to the speakers, and we will unite and we will meet you to each other. This is our obligations. Yes, for me personally, I have experience in the franchise industry more than 15 years. I sold more than 500 franchise concept. One of my best experience, it's a huge impression brand. Its name is expedition.com. You can see it, we have a restaurant there and the retail store chain. And also now I'm leading the international global franchise marketplace. It's a B2B marketplace, Topfranchise.com, where we unite more than 2,000 different franchise, and we focus on the emerging markets. So one of the main point of this conference, it's how to develop in the emerging markets, where is a good demography, when you see there is a positive dynamic of the GDP, including China and India. So we have this experience among all of our speakers, and we will give awards to them. And the first one, the speaker from the emerging market, it's from Russia. It's Yuri Mikhailichenko. Welcome you. You can switch your camera and the microphone and say a few words to us. What's happened now in Russia, Yuri?
Hi, Vasil. Hi, everyone. Good to see you again. As member of our association and as a partner who develop our international relations, Russia and other countries. And do you know that for all of us in franchise and other sectors of economic, 2020 year was difficult for developing business, difficult for promote franchise. Nevertheless, some sectors in Russia growing rapidly, especially sectors in educations and other services. And this year we expect in Russia and CIS market, as you mentioned about it, 300 million peoples now is starting working hard, and market start developing in this year more rapidly. This year we expect growing at least 20% per 2020 year. And we absolutely trust that our market stay stable and more attractive than another markets because economic situation in Russia nowadays and this time start more stable. As you know, that's our restaurants, fitness clubs, some sectors already work in a standard situation. That's open doors and all of objects working not as in 2019, but better than 2020. And from this position, we absolutely trust that our market will be attractive for international investors because we already sorry for my English.
I can help you, no problem. Yes, you can say.
yeah, because that's for English speaking, I need more practice. That's 2020 was is not good for this, and we expecting that abroad investors will invest in Russian companies and Russian markets more than 2020 and more than 2019. Vasil?
Thank you, Yuri. Thank you very much. So a few words. How do you think? What is the growth of the franchise industry in Russia and the former USSR republics? Is it still growing or it's stable?
Now it's stable. And as you mentioned already, that's still growing in sectors of education, in sector of services, and in services of constructions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. I have one more question. The last question. Yes, is it safe to come to Russian market for the to do in the franchise business? What you know about the few American brands, for example, or European that incredibly successfully in the Russian market? Some kind of brands that you can mention that you can see in Moscow or in Russia.
I absolutely agree. That's invest in Russia safe. And as we look at our American or European companies who operate on Russian markets, they more profitable than a Russian company. For example, Burger King, McDonald's, Hilton, or another brands who show us it's a good growing and stable and developing their business in Russia maybe better than Russian brands.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Yuri. We wish you good health to develop the franchise industry in Russia. Thank you for supporting us. It's very interesting to grow in the emerging markets. Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, and we move to our next speaker. It's to my opinion, it's one of the most fast-growing franchise company in the world, and we bring this company especially to tell you how to open more than 1,000 franchise units in 1 year, in one very specific year. It is a COVID year, it is a quarantine everywhere, but this company is opened more than 1,000 units during the past 2020 year. So Mr. Herman Reisen, I just want to introduce you and please say a few words about yourself, about your company, and this incredible experience of the past year, how you grow. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vasil.
Yes, please switch on the microphone. Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, please switch on the microphone.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you, but it's still very slow. Yes, very low sound. Yes, please reconnect the microphone.
thing is on. So I ask again, so is the quality of the audio transfer, is it good right now? Okay.
Yes, yes. Now we can hear you, but very, very low. Yes, maybe you can adjust your microphone to make it more louder a bit. Yes, it's okay. No problem. Yes, it's
It is
happened
louder.
sometimes.
Just give me a second.
Yes, yes. Or you can call a bit louder. Okay.
Yes, just give me a second. I will try to get on my earphones on the PC.
Yes, yes. No problem. Yes. While the Mr. Herman is adjusting the audio, I just want to say to all our participants who join our conference today, please write down on the comments on our video stream your name, your country, and your company, which kind of franchise you represent and on which kind of franchise you want to buy. It's very useful information. Start promoting your franchise immediately on our conference. Thank you very much. Yes, we can continue.
Great, perfect. So I hope now the audio quality is much more higher.
Yes, great.
Thank you very much. Sometimes it's so curious about digital data, right? It's
okay, great.
I think. Okay, is it? I would like to share a presentation with you. Is that okay?
Yes, great. Thank you.
Perfect. So just give me one more second. Here we go.
Yes, we can see you well.
Just give me a second. Yes. So now you should see it over the whole screen.
Yes.
Okay. So thanks a lot. Sorry for this circumstances. Dear participants, dear ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the introduction, Vasil. Yes, great. So CDEC is most probably known by a big number of participants who are acquainted with the Russian market and with the Russian e-commerce and logistics providers. But in general, I would love to present some numbers which I think we can be proud of. So we are only since 21 years on the Russian market. And I mean, I mean, it's quite a short period for development of such a huge and sustainable, comprehensive business. And by that time, we've reached almost 3,000 offices, mostly in Russia, but now growing and really extensively growing all over the world. We will come later to the map. We have more than 20,000 employees, and we have a total coverage in Russia. So that means there's no area where we cannot provide our services and deliver parcels, but also pick up parcels. And you see, we're already available in 20 countries, which sounds maybe a lot, but from our point of view, it's just the beginning, right? So the end, there should be a number which is almost 200. This is our strategic goal. So, and here you can see our coverage globally. You really see that the whole business is concentrated in Russia till now, but we are already developing. We have opened our own branches in China, Kazakhstan, and now since last year in Europe, from where we will conduct our development over the whole world, and especially conduct and support the work of our franchisees. This is especially interesting for us, but also for our franchisees, because our whole concept is based on the idea that we are growing together in partnership. That means it's not just that our franchisees are providing operations, they're taking parcels, scanning, consolidating, and giving away. No, every single participant in our franchise network is able to realize sales and to grow by sales. That means we're not just outsourcing the operations through the support of our franchisees, but we are also sharing the possibility to gain new customers and therefore to get the margin through these sales on our products. I think this is something which is quite unique in our industry, in our branch, because if you're getting our franchisee, you will get the possibility to sell our products all over the world. So that means you can have just one point where you realize operations. It doesn't matter if it's in Germany, US, if it's in Brazil, if it's China, But then you can develop your sales capacities and get amazing growth and profits on that. And why is that prosperous, and why is that a promise which is interesting? You can see this is results done by Apro Research. It's an independent marketing research company. And you see that the Russian Post, which is the Russian mail service, official state service, is obviously our biggest and most important competitor, which is great because it's typical for our industry that the official post companies have the biggest market share. But you can see that in terms of the awareness of our customers, we really have great numbers in all the categories. If it's top of mind questions or spontaneous replies, or if it's even prompted selection possibilities. And what you can see on the right side, this is the validation of the asked people, of the interviewed people regarding their perspective on the particular criteria. And the darker green it is, the better it is. And you can see that in these categories, CDEC is quite well. And we are very focusing the other parts where we are good, but not very, very dark green for the next development. You can see some customers, this typical name dropping, I think is quite interesting to really give you a profound understanding of the services and of the quality, because otherwise these companies wouldn't work with us. So maybe some words to the global e-commerce market development, because it's quite important to understand before potential interest, potential candidate decide to invest in purchasing a franchise license of CDEC. Sure, I mean, you have seen a lot of these numbers, I'm pretty sure, and China, US are the biggest markets, but then following by UK, Germany, and we have Russia, and so on and so on. And the only market we're not presented on right now is Brazil, but we're working on that already. The other markets are already covered by our presence. So we can provide services on these markets, and we can make our franchisee grow, selling products on these markets. The next question is for sure, what's about the dynamic? What about e-commerce generally? Yes, we have forecasted numbers from 2020, and they differ depending on the experts who are providing information. But the general overall understanding is that especially after the pandemic this year, the e-commerce is growing. A lot of companies, even who have provided only offline sales, have now decided to go online to sales, to realize sales online. And that is definitely a good base for our future development. So now to the basic topic we're speaking about here. So if you are our franchise partner, you are dealing with the operations, but as I mentioned, the products and services we sell, this is most probably the focus for you in order to grow and to get economically successful. And usually we divide our product by type, and the most common and understood types are B2C. This is the classical e-commerce business, when an online shop is selling products to a final customer. C2C, this is a C2C customer-to-customer market. That means I would like to send something to my friend. It's a personal personal case. I just go there, deliver my package, and it goes to my friend. But we also have B2B. This is basically mostly about documents, but also goods, especially in cross-border perspective. When we're talking about sending goods from Europe, for example, to CIS countries. We're generally talking about different aspects of the of speed and cost. And here we have usually Avia, which is mostly express sending. We have road, which is usually less costly, it's cheaper, but takes some more days. And sometimes we even have sea operation. Not so much yet, but it's coming. And of course, if you start as a franchise partner, mostly your in-country operations and potential customers are the first focus. Since we come from Russia and from the Russian market, we're well developed there. You've seen it with a lot of green, dark green fields. For sure, about the history and the language and the common culture, it's also CIS. So this is usually the second focus. But on the same way, we start to develop business, which is really global cross-border business, which means independent from Russia. So usually those are directions like China, Europe, Middle East, but also China, US, Europe, and South America and Europe. So what we provide, we give all our franchisees a ready-to-use infrastructure, right? So they invest in terms of tools and systems. It's not there, right? So you just need your office and your equipment usually, and your stuff you start to work with. We permanently work on a high level of automatization and improve it. We are training our franchisees. We usually have 1 week initial training, and later on we provide permanently additional seminars and trainings on topics like sales, customer qualifications, our product, and things like that. And for sure, we deliver you personal support. It's marketing support in order to understand how you can develop your business in this framework of CDEC franchise. But it's also an individual support manager for each of our franchisees. So every time you will have a question, you have an idea and want to understand how to position it within our company, your personal manager will always be the link to the rest of the company and will support and help. We have kind of standards for our offices, which is not a high-level rocket science, right? But usually it looks like that. So we have this customer area where everything has to be structured, clear, and clean. And we have a small storage where we can store the parcels of our customers, which is quite near available, but at the same time is covered, so the customer is not really looking on the operation areas. And for sure, in order to provide real good service to our customers, we have a lot of instruments, a lot of tools, not about surveillance of the productivity or control. It's not about controlling our franchise partners, but we have instruments and methods installed which take responsibility from our partners, because every critical situation, every critical process and interaction with the final customers is documented, and that leads to a high level of satisfaction on the side of our customers, but also on the side of our franchisees and our partners. That's basically all. We have a very nice, interesting, and very dynamic colleague who is Konstantin Reisner. He is responsible for our international franchise sales. So later on, you will get this presentation, and if you are interested or have additional questions, please do not hesitate and get directly in contact with Konstantin. He will be very lucky and satisfied to provide you all the information you require. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your presentation, Mr. Herman. Yeah, it's very good. Let me ask you a few questions, okay? Just a bit. So, is it real that you opened more than 1,000 or almost 1,000 units in the past year? What's happening? Why did you do this?
Yes, that's right. It's really a crazy number, because growth is always firstly appreciated as positive, but one should not forget that growth means you have to realize your operative possibilities and ability to deal with this growth. But from our point of view, there are two special factors which led us to this success. This is really the pandemic, right? So the need of e-commerce deliveries has really grown last year, and in Russia for sure. But on the other side, this is also the success of our last years. So we have grown in the main markets, in the main areas where people live in Russia, and especially last year we have focused the deep regions where the coverage still there has not been that high, right? But still we have a lot of people who live there in Russia. So that means in the first step, where the economics are priority one number, we're focused really the big clusters. But last year, we focused the development in the deep region, and that led also to a big number of new offices we have opened.
Okay, great. So what kind of markets, which markets are you focusing on this year, 2021? Which markets except former USSR, Russia, you are focusing now? Where you want to develop and see the potential? It's very important for our audience to see you. What are you thinking about the other markets?
Yes. So basically, it's when we talk about further focused development, it's for sure China and USA, because these are really global, strong markets with a lot of e-commerce, and we are already presented there. But for example, in US, we just have 2 offices open, which for now cover the requirements of the customers, but there is really place to grow, right? Okay. And on the other side, we have China with a lot of offices opened, but the connection between China and markets like Europe and US, it's not developed as we would love to have it. So the focus is on that for sure. Okay. In terms of new markets, we're focusing Europe very much. I mean, we have almost 40 countries here, a lot of different cultures and a lot of specialities in terms of e-commerce. And therefore, we are focusing this region in terms of very new market openings. So for now, we're working on, for example, on Spain, on France, on Israel. And just some weeks ago, we have opened Bulgaria. And this is additionally to the markets we already had running, for example, UK, Germany, Poland, Italy. Okay. So we have quite high numbers we would like to realize, but what we see now that the markets is quite high, has quite the high dynamic. So we decided to follow 2 main vectors. The one is strategic focusing, but the other one is this opportunistic approach. So if one of our listeners, participant, is interested to get our friend to become our franchise partner in a market we have not opened yet, we will definitely look at this candidate and the opportunity, and together with the candidate, develop an approach to open this market despite our maybe different focus. Okay, good. Thank you very much for your presentation. I wish you good luck to opening the more than 1 unit per day, as I understand. And we are moving now to Asia, from Europe, from Germany. We are moving now to Asia, and let's see the Mr. Albert Kong. And I would like to ask Mr. Albert to switch on the camera and the microphone and switch on the presentation. We're really happy to see you, Mr. Albert. How are you doing today? Great. I'm so happy to see you. Yes. Let's check the audio and let's start. Yes.
Okay. So formální privet. Huh? So good day to friends from other parts of the world that don't speak Russian. Okay. So let me try to see if I'm allowed to share screen. No. I think Kira, you have to let me share screen.
Yes, we should allow to Mr. Albert to share the screen. Yes, great. Yes, and in a few seconds we will see the presentation. Yes, let's make the presentation.
Right, I'm still waiting to share my my PPT. Kira, have you activated that?
Yes, we will activate it right now. Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Actually, it will take a few seconds more. Let's start. I just ask you the normal questions. Yes, while
okay,
we are
go ahead.
switching on the presentation, it's for sure you will get it. Let's say what's happening now in Singapore. It's just like humans, what you feel. Yes.
Well, we are quite fortunate. I mean, we still get to, almost every other day, I go for lunch meetings with my friends, and dinner. So life is quite normal, except that we all wear our mask before the food is put in front of us. And we keep the social distance, but the feeling is it's just a mask, and that people are more cautious. They wash their hands more, and I just came from a meeting before this meeting.
I see.
So we are very fortunate. I think people are all behaving themselves. Nobody is shouting about freedom, you know, and not wanting to put on the mask. So we
Okay.
are quite lucky. Yeah. Yes.
So do you start using the vaccine in the people?
Yes, we have begun all the vaccination. My turn will not be so soon. They give all the frontliners and people, you know, in the medical field and people, you know, facing the public, you know. So and then the elderly. I'm only 65, so I'm still too young. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
But I think my turn will come probably in a few weeks. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so Mr. Albert, let's try again to switch on the presentation. I will ask my colleagues to let you this.
No, it still shows that the host has disabled participant screen sharing, so I can't share.
Yeah, we will do this. Okay. By the way, you can send it to the organizers, yes, to the colleagues that you have, and we can switch it on.
Okay. Let's see. Because when I tried it out yesterday with Kira, it worked perfectly. No problem at all. So I'm just wondering what's happening.
You can try again. Yes.
Okay.
Take the permission and try again to switch on the presentation.
Yeah. Okay. Strange. Let me see. Let me try myself and. Right.
Yes, organizers is shared the rights to the presentation, or we can give you the rights for the organizers now.
Yes, please. Yes, please. I'll try again. No, it still doesn't
we will
show.
do this right now. Yes. Yeah, let's talk while we have this presentation. The few words, yes, about your company. Could you please tell about your experience? Yes, and by the way, we will switch on the presentation. Yes.
All right. Okay. Well, I have been doing franchise consulting in the whole of Asia for 32 years. And I've had the privilege of representing Singapore at the World Franchise Council for 30 years. Now, my team and I, we have built a lot of franchise systems all over Asia. By last count, we have done projects in 11 countries. And we have also, like you, done a lot of brokerages, meaning bringing franchises from one country to another. And the other thing that I think you might be aware is that I published the Asia Franchise Magazine. It's into its 27th year, launched by the Singapore Trade Development Board 27 years ago. It's in English and it's in Mandarin because a lot of the Chinese people in Asia, all over Asia, they can read Mandarin, yeah? So, and we have also been very busy in spite of all the franchise shows going by virtual instead of physical shows, we have done a lot of what we call matchmaking sessions via Zoom. So we have done that with the Taiwanese Franchise Association. You know, we have also done that for companies from Korea. Yeah, so it's very interesting. In my slide, I will share about, you know, all the shows that are still going to happen. Some are still going to do virtually, but the bolder ones are still in Vietnam and in Taiwan. In Singapore, if everything goes well, we will do a hybrid show, meaning if for Singapore-based companies, they will have their physical franchise exhibition booths. For overseas brands, franchise brands that cannot come physically, they will have the virtual ones. so that visitors to the show can have both, meaning visit physical booths and visit virtual booths. Yeah. So I think I'm very bullish about franchising because even Pakistan, and even Mongolia, and even Laos and Cambodia and Myanmar, although Myanmar is now going through a difficult time because of the political instability, but people are still very interested, in franchises from abroad. Not surprising though, because you and I are human beings and we like to have more choices. We feel, that our life is richer because we have not just local brands, local restaurants, local childcare, but we also have overseas brands to choose from, Good. Now I can see that I can go in. Beautiful. Okay.
Yes,
so
let's get down to the presentation. Yeah, lucky. Thank you.
Okay, can you see the slide?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So this is just to show Vasil your company's logo and my company's logo. Yeah. Now, very quickly, I think all of us are still, looking at, how we can handle the present situation, which is the pandemic. So everybody is very cautious about health and hygienes, yeah, and about safe distancing, yeah. Now, in ASEAN, according to the Asian Development Bank, the entire ASEAN nation of 10 countries, very naturally because of the pandemic, the growth will be lowered to 5.2%. Not a lot as per what they wanted or what they projected earlier on as 6.2%, but it's still growth, yeah. And every country is talking about containment measures. Just as an example, in Singapore, the government has come up with a lot of funding for small and medium-sized enterprises, and it all revolves around cash flow, costs, meaning like rental costs, labor costs, and credit, because it's all about keeping companies alive and getting them through this difficult time. Yeah. So as what I mentioned earlier, these are just two examples that faced double whammies, because other than the pandemic, in Myanmar, there's a coup and, there's instability. And in many countries in Southeast Asia, just as in Europe and in America, due to the pandemic, the economy has been affected. Right. Now, the National Franchise Associations in many parts of Asia, they will still do their franchise show. So in chronological order, meaning, month by month, from January to December, we have Hong Kong, we have Taiwan, Japan, Korea, Philippines, and then you have China, and China's several cities, starting with Beijing, followed by Malaysia, Thailand, and then China again in Shanghai, and then Indonesia, then Singapore, and then Vietnam, and then finally end the year with China again in Guangzhou. So the shows are still going to take place because people are still very interested in franchising. And many of you in the audience, including Vasil, you will agree that, when people lose their job, when people are put on very long furloughs, they begin to think about whether they should become entrepreneurs. And one very safe way to become an entrepreneur is through franchising. So franchising is actually, a very good way out for many people who are losing their job or who has been asked to, go on long leave, put on long furlough because their company has no business, right? So on top of that, like I mentioned earlier, lots of matchmaking sessions are still being organized, and the governments, including Singapore government, they are still supporting franchising. And I have said in many of my presentations, just to give you an example, if you were a company and you want to franchise in Singapore, and you were to look for AsiaWideFranchise consultants, my company, And if you qualify, 80% of my fees will be paid by the government. You know, so you see how real the support is. And when you want to go to overseas to exhibit in a franchise show, you know, your exhibition booth fees and your marketing materials for that show can also be subsidized. And if you want to do a market survey, you know, you want to get your franchise agreement localized, translated, again, the government will subsidize. So, you know, franchising is actually something positive in many governments' eyes, you know. So I'm very, very bullish and optimistic about franchising. Now, next. So these are just some examples that's happening in Singapore. We make use of the pandemic to do a lot of webinars. So these are some of them, you know. You can see my handsome face in this slide, yeah. And this is just a general common sense graph that during this period, you'll find that those that do a lot better and still employ people are the likes of supermarkets, you know, the likes of those who are doing health and personal care. Whereas those that are, you know, in clothing and furniture and electronics, they don't do so well because people have to prioritize their spending. You know, their money is getting lesser because the economy is bad. They don't get a pay rise, you know, and generally, you know, some people are put on furlough. So the family income and personal income has, you know, they have dropped. So people spend on essentials, you know, yeah. Okay, so very quickly, I just want to share 10 trends that are applicable both for food and beverage and even for retail. So one will be transparency. I think, you know, in Innova Market, they did a survey and they found that 60% of the people surveyed, they want to know more about where foods are coming from. So, you know, the blockchain technology plays a very important part. People want to know, okay, if I'm eating your beef, is this beef, you know, from a farm that is, environmentally responsible? Do they feed the cow with good grains, you know, and not nonsense, you know, etc., etc. You know, so they want transparency. They don't want to be fed, you know, donkey meat, you know, as if it is beef, right? You know, so which can be a problem. And then the next one is people. The people are so conscious about the health and diet, you know, and sustainability and taste. The plant-based food is now become very trendy. So I'm sure we have all heard about Impossible Food and many other food manufacturers using, you know, soy and other vegetables to make imitation meat, you know. Then the next trend will be this getting personal. You know, people want to have their restaurants and their retailers know what they want. They want people to tailor, you know, their needs, you know, because maybe of beliefs and of their lifestyle, you know. So getting personal and therefore doing data analytics, making use of IT, making use of AI will be very important. Next will be omni-channel eating. People want more choices. They want to eat when they want, where they want. It's the same with buying clothes, you know. So people want more choices. So this omni-channel thing will apply to both eating and even shopping for clothing. And the other thing which is related to other points will be full immunity. You know, people even want to take food that has been boosted by vitamins, you know, so that they, you know, their nutrition is more complete, so that they can get better immunity against future viruses, you know. So related to this will be what we call the nutrition hacking. Yeah, people like to have food that is loaded with vitamins and protein, again to support their immune system. The next point is the less humans part, which is, you know, people will understand that they cannot go back to the old past where they can go for buffets and they share platters of food. You know, people might have to use QR codes to order food. They will see that there will be plexiglass that divide them from even their girlfriends or wives. So the human touch will be lesser. You know, even pizza delivery people, you know, they when they deliver the food, they would like to, you know, put it on a platform or on the floor if it's clean, and not have to touch the human being, the customer, you know. So it will be less human. And then the other thing is less waste. I think, you know, people realize that a lot of the problems, including probably also the virus, is caused by the climate change. You know, the climate change and the warming of the earth, for all you know, is causing more variants, you know, more diseases. So people are conscious. People want to live for a higher purpose. They want to see less waste. They don't want to patronize companies, whether they're in food or fashion or education, that are not environmentally friendly, you know. And then there's this food for mood thing. Recently, I read reports about some countries actually allowing cannabis to be, you know, put in drinks and food, you know. And of course, in Singapore, if you have certain grams of, you know, marijuana, you hang. It's a death sentence, you know. So, and we will not allow cannabis in any form, you know, even if it's very little, very small trace. But people are looking for food that will boost their mood, you know, make them happier, make them sleep better, make them feel less depressed. We are seeing that. We are seeing that the food manufacturers are trying to not just put vitamins, but also enhancers that will boost a certain kind of mood, you know. Yeah. And then finally, you know, even for something as simple as coffee, you will have all sorts of coffee. People are experimenting, you know, putting coffee in yogurt, coffee in energy bars, coffee in alcohol, coffee in smoothies and granola bars. So what I'm saying is, you know, people want more choices. People want to see, you know, how inventive you are, but at the same time, you know, not spoiling or harming my health, you know. So it's very interesting. Now, just an example, because of, for those of you who know the Chinese custom, especially in Southeast Asia, during Chinese New Year, they like to gather around, you know, tables and tables of food. So one of the first food to eat is what we call yusen, which is raw fish with salad, you know, and everybody will take their chopsticks and they will just toss it high up, and then, you know, and then they all fall back on the plate and everybody gets it. But because now of the pandemic, now a lot of restaurants, including Genki Sushi, which is a sushi franchise from Japan, they actually came up with an individual one-pack yusen so that people don't have to share from the same platter, so that, you know, the saliva from people will not be mixed and therefore cause, you know, infection, you know. So this is good thinking. This is actually knowing how to ride on the festive season, which is the Lunar New Year, and knowing that people still want to have their yusen and they can still do it individually. So this is good thinking. And for this Tongren which is a very huge Chinese medicine hall, which is from China, they are even going into the coffee cafe market, you know. So again, they're thinking of the box because they realize that Starbucks and many coffee chains have entered China and they're doing very well. So they thought to themselves, why can't a traditional Chinese medicine business also go into coffee business, you know, and they can infuse the coffee with Chinese herbs and help boost the immunity of their customers. So I think this is also good thinking. Okay, so I will, because of the time, I will just use 2 more slides and I will finish. So in my many in the many presentations I've done around the world, I've spoken in 46 nations. And in the last 32 years, I've spoken maybe at least 300 times. But I like to end with the letter C. You know, if you are in franchising, you always use the letter C and say, okay, is my concept something that will work in the country I want to go to? You know, will there be a market? Is it, you know, is it a food that is offensive to the people's religion over there? You know, the consumers, you know, how big is the consumer base? You know, what's their spending power? You know, is if I were to do it there, you know, how much cash will be needed by the franchisee there? You know, and how am I going to price my franchise so that my franchisee will have a profitable business? You know, then there are the big things like the culture, the political environment, you know, the economic environment, you know, the social thinking, you know, the technology there, you know, like in some countries during a political crisis, you have no access to internet, you know. So if you are very IT based, then your business might be affected, you know. And then you have to think about the copycats there, you know, and also the contract, you know, whether your IP, you know, your intellectual property can be registered there, and whether the government there, you know, what kind of control? Do they only look at contracts in their local language? You know, is if you go into a joint venture, what is the maximum percentage that you can hold? All these things have to be considered. So a lot of C's. Another C will be communication. You know, if your name in your own local language may sound very nice, but when you go to another country, it may sound like a bad word, you know, or a vulgar word, worse still, right? And I've shared this even about Subway's Chinese name, you know, and many people were shocked, you know. So, and then finally, you really have to look at whether your candidate is the right candidate, you know, in terms of whether, you know, they really know the market and whether they're committed to the market. So these are the C's that I think all franchisors have to consider before they go to any country. Okay, and finally, the P's of marketing must be very, very important, you know. And other than the product, the price, and where you locate your business, you must also look at the packaging. You know, like for example, you know, it is said that in Chinese majority countries, red color is a very welcome color, whereas in other countries like you know, in Muslim countries, green is very popular, you know, etc., etc. Yeah. So I will not go further because I don't think I have a lot of time left, and I want to end by saying this. You know, what is very important is adaptation. You know, you need to adapt. You can't just say that, oh, look, I'm McDonald's and McDonald's can only sell beef. So if you go to a country like India, where, you know, most people are Hindus and they don't take beef, then you have no business. But McDonald's went to India, they adapted. Their patty is a vegetarian patty, you know, and they adjusted the pricing. So they adapt. Yeah, so you adapt to everything if you really want to do business there. But like I said, most important of all, choose the right partner who really knows the market. And so I will end my presentation. This is just a slide about my team members in Singapore and our background. So with that, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Albert. Yes, thank you. Stay healthy. Hope to see you in Singapore. Yes, and
yes,
yeah, it's really we really appreciate that you have time to speak to our international audience. And we now moving to Europe. Stay with us, please. Yes, you can switch off your presentation and the camera, and we will give a word to our next speaker, Mr. Felix de Wit is from the Netherlands, and Felix is our partner and the one of the top experts in franchise industry and the real estate industry in Europe. And Felix, now we're listening to you. What's happening in Europe now in the franchise industry? Please go ahead. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay, perfect. I'm doing well, but I tell a little bit more in my presentation. Shall I switch to my presentation?
Yes, let's switch on.
Let me go. One moment.
You can start demonstration, right?
Do you get it?
Yes.
Okay, my presentation, I gave it the title, Franchise in Europe During and After the Pandemic. Let me tell me, my name is Felix de Wit. I'm married, I have 3 kids, and since 1 year and a half, I have a grandson. I started my career in 1978 as an officer in the Royal Dutch Army, so I can say, proud as I am, that I'm a veteran. Then I worked as a real estate agent. Finally, I made a very good decision in my life to join an incredible real estate company, the top of the world. It's named Remax. I was a master franchisee for the Netherlands. And when I left the company in 2009, I decided to build my business in franchise development, consultancy, and sales. I live in a very small country, the Netherlands. It's a very beautiful country. Most of the attendees today, they know it for sure. They know our country from the windmills and the tulips. And when I say Amsterdam, you know about the red light area and the channels there. I started Remax. Remax is an international brand in the real estate industry, founded in 1974 in the USA. I was country number 24 when I joined in 1998. And at this moment, this company is existing in more than 130 countries globally. Why I started Remax? First of all, I was in the real estate industry and I figured out that the real industry was not working the way I liked it. I wanted to change the industry. I wanted, as a business owner, to have the opportunity to build something for myself, but not by myself. And why I choose for Remax? Because I'm a winner and I always like to join the best. That's the reason I choose for the McDonald's in the real estate industry. I built the network together with a partner from 1998 till 2009. We had an incredible growth, incredible expansion. We sold more than 150 franchises in that short period of time. And you see in 2008, 2009, we had a crisis in the real estate industry. We dropped down a little bit. After that, when I sold my company, I decided to build a franchise consultancy company where we have some expertise. I can say myself, I was a franchise owner for a long period of time, so I know exactly what my customers expect to build their brand. We are recognized and we have capabilities. Our services, I always say to people, to build a big business, you need a small focus. I made a big mistake myself when I was a master franchise owner. I want to do everything by myself. I want to do the marketing, the technology, the franchise sales. And the lesson I've learned out of it, to build a big business, you need a small focus. So concentrate on your business and find the right professional people to support you to make the growth possible. I see my personal vision, and we are in a terrible situation at the moment, and I want to see it very positive. I see a good franchise organization work exactly like a virus, but then in a positive sense. Someone gets infected with it, then it affects the other. And if everyone does their job well, transmission goes very fast. When you sell a lot of franchises, your network will grow and franchise becomes a treat to the competition. This is what I was using a long time ago before the pandemic. When I was selling franchises, I always used this expression to motivate people to join our network. What we're in right now in Europe, that's actually not an easy situation. I explain you later. You can see globally COVID-19 infection is dramatically at the moment. And we have a lot of, you see, besides of the USA, Europe is infected very much at the moment. The situation because of COVID-19 in my country at the moment, we have a totally lockdown most of the European countries. In my country, the Netherlands, everything is locked. Most companies are closed. Sport facilities are closed as well. Most schools are closed. We are even in my country, and that was a really tough decision from our government. We are on an evening clock, a curfew, and that is not easy, but this week they postponed our lockdown till the 2nd of March. When you want to have a visitor at your home, you are not allowed to invite your parents, only your mother or your father. You cannot invite all your kids. You are allowed only one visitor in your home. And back to the business, we have a governmental contribution to wage costs. Our government is helping business owners to survive this crisis because they want to see the unemployment rising very much. And they even invested a lot of billions for a fixed cost allowance in the business. The situation in the franchise industry is at this moment, Europe has one of the most developed franchise industry of the world. That is since many, many years. And many franchisors expand their brands across Europe by recruiting masters. They work in the form of a master franchise. That's very good for the management of the franchise brand. And that's very good for expanding abroad. When you are a USA, go back to Remax. Remax was founded in the USA. They sold masters all over the world, and that's the reason they are rolling out globally. Many franchisors have used the service of a Europe-based franchise consulting company. They know the culture, they know the atmosphere, they know to find the people, etc. Before COVID-19, every year we had an exponential growth in the franchise industry. For example, the Netherlands in 2019, we had around 950 franchise brands with gross revenues over 38 billion. So the GDP, the gross domestic product, is 8-12 billion. That means that franchise is very important for the industry. It's 5% of the GDP. And since COVID-19 in 2020, we have an economic downturn in all the businesses, so also in the franchise industry. But there are a lot of benefits that franchises can survive. What were the best cases actually in 2020? That I see still the company that I invested 12 years of my life is still growing worldwide, and that one of the Russian franchisors that my company supported in 2012 became a publicly traded company. That's always good when you see that you invested your time, your effort, and your money in some activities, and you see after so many years that is still growing. And these were the best cases in 2020 that I always used in my presentation to potential customers. And private and business-wise, the ever best case that happened in 2020 is the development of more COVID-19 vaccines. This will change our life. In private, I just explained to you what's going on in my country at the moment. I explained a bit what's going on in the business because of the vaccination at the moment. For sure, I'm totally satisfied that we will go back to a normal life as we had before. I wrote a book last week and I found a nice expression. If you can film an idea in your mind, follow that film idea shot for shot, scene for scene, that idea is worth making, from Greg Mapp. This was a very good statement. Probably some of the attendees can do something with this statement. The trends development in franchise 2021, what I expected, the market for new franchise development around Europe will remain robust and strong. That will never change. There are excellent reasons to start a business during the down economy. Existing companies will franchise their business. Yes, it's a great time for many entrepreneurs' dream. And you have to realize that smart investors always make money, not excuses. Sorry to drink a little bit. What are the reasons to start a business during a down economy? You have to realize that raw materials and goods are much cheaper. A startup can save sometimes over 75% when business sells off their items and assets during a recession. That's a good reason to start a business. The number of competitors is down. Since there are obviously a less amount of startups during a bad economy, it makes a lot of sense to start a business that solves a problem and has the adequate funds to help it push through the time that comes, to the tough times that will come. People are always looking to save money. As a rule, when to spend next to nothing in a bad economy. The fact is their purchasing power, income, and maybe even their jobs have been affected, so they return are in no financial mood to let go of cash for just anything. You can save a bundle on interest. You have to realize that the banks have to survive after this crisis as well. Actually, the interest rate is very low in Europe at the moment, but I think it will stabilize to get back in the business. And last but not least, people are always looking for innovation. During a bad economy, people are looking for a business or service that can solve their problems. Startups too are looking for innovative business solutions that don't just make their overall operation easier, but also lowers their expenditures. Existing companies will franchise their business. I see this as a benefit as well. There are lower costs. Unlike employees, franchisees make an initial payment in return for becoming a part of your business, and then they continue to pay a percentage of their revenue throughout the duration of the franchise agreement. Simpler management. Franchisees are themselves responsible for the day-to-day running of their business units, and they must do this actively in accordance with the franchise agreements and operations manual. As franchisees have invested their own hard-earned money, they do not require the detailed level of management which would be needed for employees. I see coming up a faster expansion, a better market penetration. There will be a greater commitment. Franchisees have invested in their business and know that they can benefit directly from its success. Logically, for that reason, their commitment will be much greater than that of employees. Less recruitment. On purchasing their franchise, the franchisees are really taking a decision to stick with their chosen business for the long term. And last but not least, also in this situation, international potential. Using a system called master franchising, people can quickly and simply replicate the whole of their model that they developed in other countries. My suggestion to the audience, stay focused. the pandemic won't change the franchise industry. Many franchisees will join. This is an experience over the last 50 years that after a crisis, people that are in existing business, they will find solutions to survive the next crisis. And you can say what you want when you see in my country that franchising is 5% of the GDP, that you see the importance. And as an existing franchisor, it's important that you show leadership to your network. You have to realize that your franchisees in your system are your most important assets. So take care for them, especially at this incredible, tough time. I thank you very much for your attendance. You have my contact details. When you need some support, I'm very thankful to help you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Felix. Yeah, I'm really happy to see you. Could you please tell me and to our audience the only one question, how you compare this crisis that we have now compared to the previous crises that you survived and your companies? Is it really tough or it's not so tough as before?
I see this crisis is less tough than before. When I went to 1998 and I was in the real estate business and there was a real estate crisis, it was really hard to survive because as a franchisor, you have to manage all your franchisees. Your franchisees don't do business, they run out of money. But what I see now, this is really, I see this as a private crisis. When you have a lockdown, and you have an evening clock, then you cannot leave your house after 9. That's really tough. It's really tough for young people, but for business people, we can do a lot with the internet, with video conferencing. I can contact with my clients on a daily basis. When I'm a franchisor, I can speak to my franchise owners on a daily basis by a video, by a Zoom conference. And I think this crisis, that's the main answer on your question, is less tough than different, especially in business life. In private, I have an 85-year young mother, and she told me it's a little bit like the Second World War, because I feel very lonely. I don't see my kids, I don't see my grandkids, and I can really imagine. So yes, it's a tough crisis in private, but I think in business, not so tough as we had, for example, in 98.
I understand. Thank you very much, Felix. Stay healthy. Stay healthy in Europe.
You too. Thank you very much.
Yes, nice. And we're now moving to the USA and close to New York. Mr. Alex Depase is ready to tell you about how the American market now is going. Hi, Alex. How are you doing? Yeah.
How are you, Vasil?
Yeah, we feel very well. What about you?
Great. You staying safe in Russia?
Yeah, we stay safe, thanks God. Yes.
That's good. That's a great thing, right?
Yes. Yes, please go on and say us about what do you think about this crisis in the United States. Please go by your presentation. Thank you very much.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me, Vasil, Victor, and everybody at Topfranchise. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak today on franchising in the United States. I've been in the franchising industry for over 25 years, seeing the ups and the downs of the markets. I started off as a franchisor that built a concept to 200 locations throughout the world, ended up selling that company, then worked alongside with some of the top franchisors in America to help expand their brand into Asia, Middle East, Africa, and all throughout the world. I've had some great opportunities to work with some amazing franchisor leaders, top 10, top 20 franchises in the world that really has helped grow my knowledge and expertise in the field. I've also worked with numerous companies in America and helped them expand all over the world. Malaysia, Cambodia, Singapore, South Africa, China. Also have helped companies in and out throughout the world expand into America, which we're going to discuss, is a extremely difficult market. No doubt about that. Hold on one second here. Okay. So this webinar, we're going to talk about the U.S. market, how to evaluate the U.S. and create a plan for entry. Getting into the United States franchise market is extremely difficult. It's probably the hardest market to break into, cost-wise and just from a competitive standpoint. There's over 3,000 franchise concepts in America right now. And to be honest with you, most of them don't grow past 5 to 10 units. So there's a lot of hurdles before you even get in front of the legal aspects of just breaking into the market. So we're going to discuss some of that. We're going to discuss maybe things that could possibly help you and your brand in your country, how to generate interest in your franchise offering and sell, and the steps to obviously franchising in the US. So like I said, the US market, it is the mecca of franchising. Franchising has been going on here in America for 30, 40, 50 years. Just in my short time, 25 plus years franchising, I'm just amazed to see how quickly developed countries have developed their franchising market, and in a way have been less dependent on US franchises to bring in to their countries. And, I was just last year, a couple of years ago, 2019 in the Philippines at a Philippines franchise event, and couldn't believe within less than 5 to 10 years how developed that franchise market had become. And, that is the case throughout the world. But the US market, it has tremendous opportunity because it sort of is the melting pot of the world. You've got people from Asia, from Middle East, from Africa, all over the world that, with a diverse ethnicity, diverse religion and culture, that makes it a very unique market. And that market, can change whether it's in the New York market, the Florida market, the California market. So there's different pockets and different regions that offer the diverse ethnicity and culture groups and opportunities in each one of the states. There's a difference in selling your franchise concept in the Northeast as opposed to the Southeast. But capitalists are the ones. Entrepreneurship is very popular here. We've got a show called Shark Tank that has, obviously driven entrepreneurship to very high levels, to where kids are thinking about and wanting to become entrepreneurs. It's the cool thing to be. So it has become very accepting in franchising to allow entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, get into systems, process, and align and partner with brands to still have that entrepreneurship aspect of business, to be in business by yourself, but not for yourself, but not by yourself. Some of the things that the market presents and has, like I said, was the trademark and the IP protection is very strong here. You're guided by a well-defined legal system that has defined franchise and business regulations in every single state. English is obviously the predominant language, but that is changing as Spanish becomes, will probably overtake the English language as the predominant language in the next, 5 to 10 years. Majority of the population is educated. That's the normal course of action here. It's still 85 to 95% of the kids that graduate high school go on to college. The market offers incredible supply chain capabilities, access to capital and financing for franchises is abundant, and well-established marketing, advertising, and communications infrastructure is in place. So, options for doing business in the U.S. I'll give you the options and then I'll give you my opinions. Obviously, a lot of companies try to break in to test the market with company-owned locations. This has their positives and negatives. A company-owned location requires not only a significant amount of capital, but a tremendous amount of resources, and opening up that first single flagship site usually takes a lot longer than people you think that it would take, or usually to go to the market and franchise. Acquiring a company in a similar line of business, joint ventures, agents, distributors, franchising, and licensing. Franchising, obviously we're talking companies that are international for the sake of this PowerPoint presentation and expanding into the US market. Honestly, the company-owned locations are great. I see a lot of companies do that, but 9 times out of 10, I see them fail. The route, even with franchising, to try to break into this market from an international standpoint, from a foreign company breaking into this market, not only is the cost extremely high, but the success rate is not there. Most foreign companies, forget about the foreign companies, most domestic companies that start here in America on the franchising side fail. So the odds for international franchises are even higher. But the tack that I suggest for most international franchises is first going in, finding a master franchise partner. There's an opportunity for experienced multi-unit franchise operators, experienced franchisees to want to take and have that right to take a foreign concept and master franchise it in America. Probably the best route, because you've got an experienced business partner that has done it successfully, understands the landscape, and in addition to that, can get through the legal hurdles of the franchising legal structures, filing franchises, filing an FDD, filing it with the FTC, filing it with each one of the states, and it reduces the cost and the exposure for the international brand. I'm not going to go into all of this just for the sake of time, but like I said, the amount franchising is extremely popular here in America. Everything is franchise. You purchase a car, you're buying it from a franchise. You go to a clothes store, you're buying from a franchise. You go into eat, you're going to a franchise. It's just whether it's business services, retail services, personal services, every sector here in America, brand names, they offer, the opportunity for consumers to feel comfortable with it, and they're very accepted. Major benefits, obviously, of franchising is your ability to enforce your brand standards, and that's governed through what's called the franchise disclosure document, which is a 200-page document that pretty much protects the franchisor, and it lays out everything that the franchisee must abide by. And that's a good thing. It's an intimidating thing for new potential franchises that are coming into the system, but it's an appreciated thing once they're in the brand to protect the brand standards. Franchisee is an independent contractor, so there's no tax implications or issues. It's just a 1099 that is paid out. Like we said, clear, well-defined franchise law and regulation, primarily focused on the franchise disclosure document. It's a 200-page document that is designed to provide your prospective franchisee, like I said, with all of the information that they need to know to make an informed decision. prior to getting to that point in time, the franchise disclosure document has to be filed. Certain states are harder to get into. Certain states are registration states, like in New York or California are registration state, where you have a process of not only do you have to file it, but there's questions and requirements that are needed in order for you to even sell in there. So that's usually a 3 to 6 month process, where a state like Florida, you can just file your FDD once it's completed, and you can immediately sell once you have receipt of it being in the mail. So there's all sorts of different state relationship and business opportunity laws for the franchisees. And as I said, if we're talking specifically for this, as if I were, from my experience, looking at expanding into the United States, I would go the master franchise route. I wouldn't try to sell single units. I wouldn't bother opening up a company unit, owned unit. I would look for an experienced franchise partner that has done this, built systems. Maybe, Subway guys that own multiple units are looking for new investments. There's so many different experienced franchisees, multi-franchisees that have the experience and would love the opportunity to be a master franchisee and sit at the top. And they have the experience, the capital, the resources, the network to be able to expand your brand, and it minimizes your exposure. I see a lot of brands, like I said, come in here trying to sell franchises on their own through a foreign, location. It's extremely difficult, extremely difficult. Why enter the U.S. market? It's diversification, if anything, right? In this past year, what has that taught us? Why are services like Topfranchise, Victor, and Vasil, what they're doing, guys like them, so important to brands? They help your brand expand throughout the country, throughout the world. I'm sorry. And why is that so important? Well, we heard Felix just talk about how Europe is completely shut down right now. I've got franchisors that have franchise masters in Europe, and it's completely shut down. And then you go to other countries, and it's China, and they're back up and running. You come into the United States, and we're back up and running. So in each one of the countries, this is obviously a complete unique anomaly that we went through this past year. I've seen nothing like it before. But whenever there's turbulence in the market, it creates opportunity. And every single downturn that I've worked through and been in the franchise industry, the other side of this is much brighter and creates so much opportunity. So, if you're sitting back and worrying, see there's two types of investors and two types of entrepreneurs that grow with their brands. And the ones that are sitting back and are nervous about the market and look at the glass half empty and the situation and say, well, now's not the right time to expand. Now's not the right time to look. I'm concerned about what's going to happen. This is going to end. This is going to be over this year. Now, while things may be slower, is your time and opportunity to prepare yourself, to start marketing, to start developing and expanding and diversifying your business. The U.S. market, I don't want to scare anybody, but I want to tell the truth. And it is a tough market. But the rewards, private equity are gobbling up companies that once you hit the 50 unit, 100 unit mark, you're looking at private equity companies that are buying in at 20 times EBITDA, which is just simply outrageous numbers. So the private equity market here in the United States is very, very strong. Money is extremely cheap. The franchise market is very well accepted, the growth potentials, but those are for top brands. So that's the carrot, that's the golden nugget, and why this market offers so much, potential and so many people try to get into this market. But the failure rate is extremely high, and it has to be done properly. So creating a plan, what are the goals and the objectives, right? Like I said, why do you want to come into this country? What are you hoping to get out of it? Well, obviously that's very simple. You want to expand the brand. You want to diversify the business. You want a potentially grow and sell that concept to a private equity once you expand. The market acceptance of a concept is sort of what you have to work with and understand. Does this concept going to work in United States? Has it worked in our country? It may work in China, it may work in Singapore, it may work in Malaysia or Dubai, but would it work here in America? That's the $1 million question. There's a lot of research that can be done to understand the market and acceptance of a concept, but let's say the concept is something that potentially can grow here. Obviously, modifications required. How do we modify the current offering to meet the local market demand? How do we set up the cost and support of the modifications? How do we develop modifications? What is the initial ongoing support that we're going to provide? Again, let me revert back. This is why it's so important to align with somebody that has done this successfully. A multi-unit franchisee that has built franchise systems from Subway, McDonald's, Burger King, whatever, someone that has that experience that wants to sit on the top and develop for you. Because they are, without that resource and somebody with the experience, it's an extremely difficult process. And they're going to, help with the pricing. What is the cost, the competition? It's essentially and whether that is through a purchase and sale of a master franchise, or it's through, a business partnership. And both parties are going to invest into the business. Development strategy, I'm just going to get through just for obviously time purposes. I don't want to run over too much here. Product sourcing and distribution, all of the issues here. So 4 steps to lead generation. And this could be used for any franchise sale anywhere in the world. Define your market and of qualified prospects. Who is the ideal profile that is going to fit for your franchise? Who is your ideal franchise? Create that franchise success profile first before you even think of promoting your franchise opportunity. And then what is that message? What is the message that motivates the buyer? Who motivates your buyer? People that buy opportunities, not businesses. And, what are the business buyers looking for? Understanding exactly what your message is and who you're targeting and what that ideal person is going to be. The lead source, here in America, just a little bit about that. If we were looking at this, 5, 10 years ago, the way we sold franchises here in America, when I started 25 years ago, we would place a newspaper ad. We'd have people come to a hotel room, a hotel convention center, and sell, or we would go to their place of business. It was completely different. The way means communication now have changed dramatically. But what has happened here, even in America too, is franchise brokers have really, taken over the franchise sales process. There are a lot of really good franchise broker associations here in America that, have pretty much all of the top VP of franchise developments that have left the franchisor brands to go and start up franchise broker companies or just become franchise brokers. And 80% of the business that is being sold here in America is going through the franchise brokers. Magazines, franchise expos, really a lot of the past and very costly. And obviously Google is definitely one of the top means of generating leads. So buyer motivation. What motivates franchisees? Well, what are they going to be looking for? They're going to be looking for proven systems, an established brand, operating economy, shared knowledge. What is the success of your brand in your country? Is it something that would be unique here? We have thousands and thousands and thousands of food concepts here in America. Those are probably the hardest to develop and grow and expand in America. Educational services, business services, a little bit easier, less overhead. Maybe it's a home-based mobile type of business. So these are all of the things that I help and assist through Global Franchise Exchange. And my experience and my contacts with within the franchise industry here in America to say, listen, don't even bother, don't even waste your time looking for somebody as a business partner expanding into this country, because it's obviously the brand has to have worked in your country, ideally in other countries prior to expanding here in America, and then looking at it, okay, does it make sense for the U.S. market? So here in America, you have several types of franchise buyers. The logical person is somebody that's going to read the FDD carefully, read the agreements. They're going to choose an industry that best suits their backgrounds and lifestyles. They're going to look over the item 19, financial investments, the return of the franchise concept, determine if it's a fit with the franchise culture, and they're going to compare different franchise offerings to that. And they're going to go step by step by step. The other one is the emotional franchise purchaser. And some people buy franchises on emotions because their spouse or the job, their home, they don't follow a logic path. It's they are excited about their industry or the passion of what they do, and it's sort of an emotional purchase. Research is often imperfect, not reading the disclosure. They're just motivated most of the time. The emotional people, buyers, the franchise buyers here in America are the ones that are chasing a brand that is expanding really quickly, has incredible financial return, may be fun and exciting, and are not really looking and pulling back the onions to see really what is the best fit for them. It may not necessarily be the best fit. Why do people purchase franchises? Be their own boss, general independence, do something they love. A lot of times when the market downturns, what I said, when like the financial downturn here in the United States back in 2008, 2009, you saw a tremendous boom right after because people were being laid off at their jobs. And, 50 years old, 51 years old, corporate executives. It's still today's industry, business environment. You'll see executives, marketing executives, business executives, C-suite executives give their lives and have incredible jobs as chief marketing officers, COOs of companies, and then be eliminated by the number crunches at 51, 52 years old. And those guys don't know what to do because they're worth too much. Nobody else is going to pick them up in the industry. So they are ideal people. Those are usually the people that I'm going after if it's not somebody with franchise experience, because they've got the corporate executive experience. They're in a situation where they're too young to retire, and they just understand, from a big corporate experience, they understand systems, process, and work out usually well. So the average franchise candidate, name recognition, 40% say joining a brand is not vital. We have brands here in America, concepts, smash my trash. That is a concept that last year during the COVID pandemic, sold it's over 250, 300 franchises, a complete no-name brand in America, but it's a new cutting edge technology and business. So, that's where there's certain opportunities in this market. Don't necessarily have to be a known brand, but it's something unique. And if it's something unique that we can bring into this country, there is a market for it. And, I think year end at this point in time, this brand is about 350 units sold within the first year. And there's brands, you give multiple examples of different types of concepts and brands that, fall under that umbrella. A very new brand, new into the market, only 1 year, 2 years, in business. And, the sales of franchise sales are just off the charts. They usually don't even hit the public or the market or the Entrepreneur magazine top 500 list for years, 2-3 years down the road. But 70% of or more will visit the corporate office for what's called a day of discovery. Obviously, why should 100% visit your office? Well, it shows their intent. It shows, they're serious about the business. And this is, I look at each one of the relationships when you're bringing on a franchisee as a business partner. They're buying into your know-how, your systems, your process, your team, and you're buying into their in-country or market experience. So 5 critical points of qualification. Obviously, intelligence. What's their background? What's their experience? How does it correlate to the the job set, the skill set requirements for the franchise? Capitalization. This is probably the biggest reason most franchisees fail. And you see a lot of franchisors, they make that mistake. They sell to anybody and everybody initially. And those first 5, 10, 15, 20 franchises, they're out of the gate very quickly. But you look and you peel back the onion, the reason they failed is because they didn't have the capital resources to maybe weather a storm like 2020, or have the capital to expand and develop the brand. You have to look long-term. Contracts, franchise agreements are here in America for 10 years. And it's important to have somebody that's well capitalized, because 9 times out of 10, the franchise is not going to be positive cash flow until, maybe their first, second year. So they've got to have that capital to sustain that initial startup time. And it's the franchisee's job, the franchisor's job, to do that due diligence, to understand who this person is. What is their work ethic? How does, are they coming from a C Corp, a C executive suite where they were a CMO? How does that translate? Or were they coming from a technology IT job that, they were in IT and maybe are coming into a business service that involves a lot of B2B, B2C interaction with a customer, or a lot of sales and talking? Does their personality and their job experience that they've had fit that? Are they going to fit into? They may have the 35,000, 50,000 and plenty of capital and great work ethic and extremely smart. But do they have the personality to be able to, develop your brand and grow your brand? Will it be well received into the market? So you've got to look at, what are the skill sets for my franchise to be successful, and look at what their experience is. And as you're going through this sales process, selling a franchise is not a process that happens overnight. It's not like selling a car. They come into the showroom and they purchase one. Sales process should be a lengthy 6 to 7 step process where you get to learn a little bit about them, they get to learn a little bit about you, and then at the end of the road, at the end of the journey, you are going to get a good feel for who this person is. You're going to have different members of your team talking with them. You're going to have different franchisees, with existing franchisees, meeting with them and talking with them. So it's really, really important that you look at these critical points of qualification, and you take your time when selecting franchisees, because the minute you get, you can bring in 10 franchisees quickly into an organization. You can have an amazing first year. You've collected, $350,000 in franchise revenue. But what's on the back end of it? Now, the second year they're into the franchise system and they're not operating well. They're not doing great business. So if you don't have that foundation and you have cracks in that foundation, you're not growing anywhere past the 10, 15, 20 units. And that's usually what happens here. People are very quick to just, oh, you have the money. Okay. They accept them in, and they don't take them through the sales process. They don't do the due diligence. They don't get to understand, is this somebody that I truly want to be a business partner with? Franchise sales are very predictable. A good concept, the right message, a great marketing plan with adequate marketing budget, a great sales process equals leads. Now, leads, equal meetings and taking them through the sales process, which then turns into franchise sales. But again, that process of bringing in people, you've got to take them through that due diligence immediately in the beginning. You're weaning out. We have a sales process here that we give to our franchisors that I can share. If you want to email me, I can share what a lot of the top franchisors in America are using for their sales process, their franchise applications to screen and see whether or not they have the capital, whether or not they have this skill set and match up to their profile within the system that maybe you can localize into your market as well. Done right, it's a numbers game. Slower growth is better than faster growth. Slower growth with the right franchisors that build the foundation, that become the validators and validate. Because once you start to get to that 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 number, if you've got a great concept, if you've got a proven business model, a model that is unique for the market, and there's some demand for it, it's then going to go down to what are the franchisees validating about your system. So bringing in those initial franchisees in the beginning is extremely important to bring in, the right people and have those people that are going to validate your system and help grow. So I know I've probably a little bit over time here. This is just a little bit, what we do, who I am, my team. I've got a team here in the United States. Like I've said, I've been in the business. I've been a franchisor. I've worked with the top brands. I've worked with brands here in America to help them develop international brands, to help them develop here. We stay in the process from, first communication all the way through introducing them to private equity companies, sales, development, and growth into the country. We have locations and expansions in-country partners throughout the world. But I'm based here out of New York City, and really appreciative of Vasil and Victor allowing me to come on here to Top Franchise. But if I could add one last thing, now is not the time to be sitting, and worrying about the market. Now is the time to get aggressive, to talk to Vasil, to talk to Victor, Top Franchise team, and figure out your strategies and expanding into the market. Because I'm talking from experience, 25 years. The other side of this is going to be much brighter. And while you have the time and the downtime, prepare for this and get diversified throughout the world.
Thank you very much, Alex. Thank you for your very detailed presentation. I feel that I also want to bring our clients, our partners to the American market. So
Yes.
enthusiastic and energetic. Thank you very much. Yeah, I wish you stay healthy. Have a good day. Thank you very much for your early coming. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, my
Goodbye.
friend.
Yes,
All right.
take care. Take care.
Take care. Take care.
Please say on your comments on our video your contact details, and to all our listeners who is listening us and who is us now, I just want to ask you to type text in your video what you see now, our conference, your name, which country are you from, and what other questions do you have to our speakers. We have time now to answer the questions, and we will provide all these questions to our speakers and connect all of you, each other, to our speakers. You can type me, and my personal contacts also will be here in our chat, in our conference. And I ask my colleagues to type on the our video stream all the contact details of our organizers, and you also can asking our honorable speakers to put your contact details to all these chats, to Zoom, to this our room, and to the stream broadcasting your contact details, and this would be very good. So let me say a few words like a resume of our conference today. This is our first global franchise conference. We will expand this conference to other markets. Today it was the speaker from Singapore, two speakers from Europe, one speaker from Russia, one speaker from USA, and we see how it's happening, what is happening now in these areas. And once you are going to expand your franchise globally, or you want to start your franchise business as a franchisee, please contact our speakers, the franchise development experts, all of these speakers, and for promotion of your franchise and promotion of your brand, and choosing the right company which you can buy a franchise, you can use our marketplace. And I just want to say, to show my shorter presentation to the final conversation, and I want to ask my colleagues to let me show this slide, and I want to say a few words about the Top Franchise company, about our marketplace. We unite the more than 2,000 franchise globally. We have our team experience, it's more than 15 years, and we organizing such as events online and offline. We participate in the top franchise exhibitions globally, and we have your own booth and the country booths in these conferences. When it will come all the offline shows and the exhibitions in Europe, in USA, in Asia, in Africa, we will join and we will see each other. Let's plan this. Now, all our clients who is happy to work with the Top Franchises already leave their response here. You can check all these kind of brands. They already have the leads and the opening through our marketplace. This is all of our partners. You can see here all of our speakers, all of our experts, and plus the offline events. That is Franchise Expo in France, and the READ exhibitions globally, and especially in Singapore also. What about the traffic? We have more than 1 million people coming to our marketplace globally, so you can expand your brand here. And we have the traffic and the investors from all over the world. Here you can see what kind of countries is the most active in our marketplace. It's USA, it's India, it's Saudi Arabia, and all kind of Gulf countries, yes, which is rich, and they're expanding to the other markets, and they have the very strong demand to buy any franchise. We're strong in Pakistan, in Malaysia, and so all the English-speaking countries now coming to our marketplace to search for the good franchise opportunities. So for this year, you can choose your way how to expand, where to expand, and we, the organizers of the Global Franchise Conference, all of our speakers wish you a success in the franchise industry and in this movement to become rich and to become happy with the franchise. And I really want to say thank you to all of our speakers who is now in the early morning, like Alex in the US, and late night in Singapore, like Albert Kong, and in the daytime now in Europe. So thank you very much, guys. Thank you for all your support to make this happen. I would like to say thank you to all participants. We really appreciate and respect that you joined this Global Franchise Conference. This whole video will be stored in YouTube, and also we will send you links by emails right after the conference. Please write down your contact details, write down your all questions that you have. We have a few seconds to answer that. And I see some persons from Jamaica, yes, and I respect and I mention everyone, yes, and you can see all of your contact details here. If you have the request to buy franchise, ask directly all of our speakers. They have the portfolio of the very good brands. Yes, and if you want to develop franchise in Europe, you can contact the Mr. Felix de Wit. If you want to develop franchise in US, also please contact Mr. Alex Depase. And if you want to develop franchise in Asia, contact Mr. Albert Kong. So in this case, you get all this information, how to expand your brand, and please use all this information to make success of your own brand. And the steel franchise industry is very strong, is very good perspective, and we also work on it. And let's see each other on the next conference that we will start in several months. Thank you very much. We are finishing now our conference, and I really happy that it's happened today. Thank you very much. Take care, all of you guys. Bye. Thank you. We have a few seconds. Stay here that you can put your own name, your country, and your questions and your company profile. Send it to us. Start promote your franchise. Thank you very much. Take care. Stay healthy.